NBC Sports Philadelphia. Best show ever, 610-632-0975. Been an exciting time for the Phillies on the line. This man's going to have a lot more fun next season, just like he had a lot of fun this past season on the Comcast Business Hotline. The voice of the Phillies, Mr. Tom McCarthy. How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing great. Heading to basketball practice right now, but obviously baseball's always on my mind.
This is just crazy. So you're calling the games. They find a way to finally break the postseason streak. You're all hype, and then they lose in the World Series. And where do we go from here? Everybody asks. And then the Phillies step up on really the first full day of winter meetings and get the Trea Turner deal done. Just for you, are you surprised at all just how quickly this all came together? Because as far as the quote-unquote big fish, he's the only one so far to really be signed to a long-term deal.
I guess I'm not surprised only because, according to everybody that has been covering the team, they've been meeting with all these different shortstops. And quite frankly, they could have matched up with any of them, and it would have been fine. I do think, Trea obviously has the most to offer from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. I don't think anything surprises me anymore. I was actually more surprised that Verlander signed as quickly as he did with the Mets than Turner signing as quickly as he did with the Phillies, honestly, just because I thought that Verlander would let it go a little bit and see if, let's say, the Dodgers or the Yankees or somebody else would up the ante as far as the finances go.
What about the length of it? The 11 years, and you get him for under $30 million AAV. It's just above 27. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think financially, it's a good deal when you take a look at the salary cap and everything like that, the way it's structured right now. I mean, somebody put something out yesterday that the combination of Gino and Didi was more money than it would be for Trea Turner and Bryson Stott, if that's what you go with as your shortstop second base combination. The fact that he's that he has this ability to obviously hit, but also to move at shortstop. And I think that's one of the biggest things, guys, is that the way the shifts are going to be moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future, you needed somebody that had additional range than what they had before. Bryson Stott did a wonderful job playing shortstop after they let Didi Gregorius go, but I think they needed somebody with a little bit more range up the middle and toward the hole. And Trea Turner is ranked number one in that category, with Swanson being number two, although arm strength goes to Bogart. So they really tighten things up in a big way from a defensive standpoint by being having a little foresight with the new shift rules.
I got to ask this question because this is on everybody's minds. We've gone over this. Where would you hit him in the lineup? I mean, obviously you have Schwarber who loves to hit leadoff. Would you hit him two or one?
I'd hit him one and try to talk Kyle into batting either second or fourth in the lineup. And again, they could tinker with it too. But I was thinking about that yesterday. I would hit him one. Nice problem to have, though, Ricky, isn't it? I mean,
it's a beautiful problem to have.
Real good problem to have. But that's where I would put him at number one. He's a base-stealing threat. He'll get in the scoring position quickly. His stolen base percentage is tops in Major League Baseball the last couple of years. So it adds something to this team, which really statistically ran the bases in the top five in Major League Baseball. Taking the extra base, taking the stolen base, doing those things. It's just going to add to those numbers, too.
We're talking to Tom McCarthy, calls the Phillies for NBC Sports Philadelphia. Tom, you look at, if you were the GM, if you were Dombrowski right now, and you were trying to fill out
good hair.
Oh, wow. And you were calling the shots. What would be the next move? Shortstop's obviously taking care of middle infield. What would be your next move if you were in charge to help fill out the rest of this roster?
Ty, I'm always in need of pitching. I mean, I think they need pitching. I think they know that. I mean, they need bullpen help. They probably need another starting pitcher. I do think one of those kids is going to vie for one of those spots in the rotation, but I still think you have to go out and get somebody that adds to the depth of the starting rotation. So for me, it's about pitching now moving forward. And I'm okay with either one, whether it be relief pitching or starting. I'd love to get a starter, but I think they're going to wind up getting both. I just don't know at what level they're going to get both. If they're going to get, what they would term medium for both, or one higher level one and one medium level one. But I think pitching is where they go next.
I want to ask you about the manager. You saw the switch from Joe Girardi to Rob Thompson. What stood out to you when you spent that time with Rob as the guy?
Well, I think the biggest thing, Hunter, is that he was way more chill than Joe was from a dugout presence standpoint, from a clubhouse standpoint. I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference. I thought, all right, well, they're making a change. I hope this works out because I really like Rob a lot. But I at the end of the year, I sat there and realized I liked him a lot more than I thought. Just his one-liners, the way he carries himself in the clubhouse, the way he carried himself in the dugout, the fact that and Joe was, I think the Phillies needed Joe when they hired Joe. I really do. I felt like they needed to turn the page on the previous regime, whether it be the manager or the general manager, and the addition of Joe stabilized the organization and stabilized the dugout. But I also think that Rob was way more relaxed, but still got his point across than Joe was. And I think it was felt in the clubhouse. I think it was felt among the coaches. And I think it definitively was felt among the players who I think realized that they could be whoever they wanted to be. And he's really good with young players. And I think we saw the young players evolve as the year went on. And I'm not saying that wouldn't have happened under Joe, but I think it happened a little easier under Rob.
Kind of a two-part question here. Nola and Wheeler. First of all, I want to know how concerned you are with these guys. Obviously, Wheeler in the World Series needed 7 days off to make a start in the World Series. And then Nola seemed to look a little tired in the end. I understand it. His innings numbers were way up. But do you expect a change to go with that this season? Maybe if they're up 5 or 6 runs later on in the ballgame, you don't push those two guys further as far as they could possibly go?
Well, there may be cases for that, Ricky. I mean, I think you and I have talked about this before. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of not pushing a pitcher. I want them to be pushed because I still think a starting pitcher at their level is better than a mid-level relief pitcher that you bring in to take over for them. So I think both of them are going to figure it out individually on how they can get their endurance up and their strength up and keep it up. I thought Aaron made strides with that this year, but obviously the season went even longer than what he's used to. But I thought his September numbers showed that he's made some adjustments. I do think that they're going to need some additional depth in the starting rotation. I'm excited to see if those young kids get a chance to do something, but they probably will manage their numbers differently early on. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. Whether it's right or not, I mean, they have all the statistics and the analytics that we don't have at our disposal to know what's right and what's wrong. But I think, first and foremost, individually, they will get themselves even stronger. But I do agree with you that they will probably manage their innings a little differently early on in the season. What was the second part?
I think I was going to. The first part was, were you concerned with either one of these guys coming into the season?
Yeah, I'm not. I guess I was concerned about Zach more than I was concerned about Aaron, because anytime you have an arm question with a power pitcher, that's concerning. But I know he felt really good that last start and could have kept on rolling. So, yeah, I was probably more concerned with him than I was about Aaron, but I'm not as concerned moving forward.
Tom, how would you handle the DH spot until Bryce Harper returns? We know he'll probably play there every day once the All-Star break comes, before he can hopefully play the outfield by the end of the season. But you'll have some flexibility. It's not good to not have Bryce Harper, obviously, but you'll have some flexibility with that DH spot. How would you handle it, at least for the first couple months of the season?
Well, I think as constructed now, because I do think that they may still go out and get a veteran bat that they could put in that spot, at least to help out. But as constructed now, I would give Derek Hall a shot at it. I mean, he was productive with his power numbers. I know there's flaws in his swing, particularly against left-handers, but I would probably go that route against right-handers definitively. And then if you can find somebody else that could be the right-handed complement to him, that would then evolve into being a bench player or an extra outfielder when Bryce comes back, I wouldn't be that wouldn't bother me at all if they did that. I think Derek, again, there's holes, but I think he showed power-wise that he could at least be part of this equation to start the year.
Well, Tom, thanks so much for coming on with the short notice on the way to basketball practice. We appreciate it. And, man, you know, if you thought you had fun last year calling these games, it looks like you're going to have even more fun coming up once we get to April.
Got to get that gone call down.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah, his phone dropped off. But we thank Tom McCarthy for coming on the Comcast Business Hotline.